Vlog 333, a third of the way to 1,000, amazingly, after we started this journey back in 2018. A lot of you have been with me the entire time, and I genuinely appreciate that. Others may be new now, and if you're just jumping on in recent weeks, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because if you like cash game poker vlogs, we hope this is the place for you. I don't actually know, as I stand here right now opening this vlog, if I'm going to be in a 5-10 or 3-5 today. Either would work if the games are good. We shall see about that as well. Let's jump into it right now. Vlog 333 would come your way from Peppermill, Reno. A place with vibes since 1971. A place where there are now 7 convenient ways to check out. Which, by the way, is something I never do in hotels. I just walk out the door and have never had an issue. It's a place where you can get scenic views of 2 countries that I have now visited, Japan and Argentina, though I did not get far enough south to see any glaciers, and I would like to in the future. All right, we're waiting to get into this game. We're waiting. Take a look at this. Okay, this 3-5 list, which I'm now on. Look at the first 3 entries on the list. JR, RGT, SML. Whenever you see guys that you don't know get on the list with just their initials, they are almost always grinders. Meaning, the game probably isn't going to be all that great. Just a little tip to be aware of. I would ultimately wait about 2 hours for a second game to start, and it would be a 5-10 on table 5. I think that's a mistake by the casino, but that's their decision to make. Good news was, all 3 of those guys, who I think might have come in together, that got on the lists by just their initials, were all in the other game. So I think out of the 2 games, I was definitely in the better one, though it was not exactly lighting the world on fire in terms of quality. I'd begin tracking the session on the Left Pocket app, which you can try free for a month with promo code DEACH. We get a live 20 under the gun and a raise to 60 plus 1. As they are collecting the remaining sell-off on my left, I look down at pocket 10s in the hijack and make this call. Others fold, so with 155 in, the flop is Jack, Jack, Deuce, Rainbow, and he leads out for 80. Jacks and 10s here I think are going to be good a lot of the time against this particular opponent, so I go ahead and make this call. And with 315 in, the turn is an 8, and now he fires 200. And I have to be honest about this, my hand was basically halfway in the muck at this point. But I would talk myself into a call thinking that he's still going to have a decent amount of hands that he's going to be happy to bet here that are weaker than pocket 10s. But I didn't think that he would fire all 3 streets. So with that in mind, I play a little 5th Street chicken and I make the call. And with 715 in, the river is disgusting. Exactly what I didn't want to see in an ace. He now bets 260. So, pretty enticing in terms of pot odds, but he's using about the exact sizing that I would think that he would bet if he did have an ace here. And he's certainly going to have some jacks here that he's betting all 3 streets with, obviously, so not thinking that this was a good spot anymore, I would fold the hand in a spot that is definitely not making my highlight reel. Good news is I got 120 back from that same player in the next hand, 3-betting ace-queen suited and getting called by worse, and simply winning its showdown with ace-queen high. And speaking of premium suited hands, under the gun makes it 35 and the cutoff calls. The button, yet the same guy, makes it 150. And I have ace-king of clubs in the big blind, and I have 700 in front of me at this point. I rip it all in, and it folds all the way around, and I do get a snap call. So, the pot is about $1,475, and he also has ace-king. So unless clubs show up, I will not be winning the pot. They don't, and we chop it up. The lineup was average. Not terrible, not great, but average. So I did not add on more chips, and I had, once again, about $700 in front of me when this hand would happen. We would get a young grinder opening to 35 under the gun. Action folds to me in the cutoff with 2 black jacks. And I 3-bet to 125. Folds back around to under the gun, and he thinks about it for a second and makes the call. Not my dream opponent to be up against, but then again, none of the guys in this game are. So with 265 in, the flop is queen 8-4 with 2 hearts. He checks, and I go ahead and bet this. I make it 150. He doesn't think about it too long before check calling. So with 565 in, the turn is an offsuit 8, and he checks for a second time. I simply check this back here, curious to see what he would do on the river, and that card peels off what had to be a really good card for me. Another queen. So, pretty likely that I still have the best hand here, I think. I actually figured he would just check this, because it's not a good spot to bluff. But he does indeed put me all in for my final $270. So I don't even give it that much thought. I'm making this call, and the chips go into the pot, which is now about $1,100, and he shows King Jack of Hearts for the missed flush draw. So we were down a little bit on the day, but we would recoup our losses, securing the double up. This is a mid-session update. I gotta believe almost everyone will agree that it is complete crap that a team like the Carolina Panthers can get a home playoff game. I think they should be in the playoffs, guaranteed if you win your division. But to get a home game is complete garbage. And my team, the 49ers, isn't even the team getting screwed by it the worst. The LA Rams, who I think are the best team in the NFL and I think are going to win the Super Bowl, the fact that they have to go on the road is a joke. And I don't know why they don't change that. And that's the end of the update. A little bit later on, I guess I am keeping this weird streak alive of managing to fold pocket pairs that would have resulted in me making really big hands and good spots. In this instance, I'd fold pocket queens on an ace-high flop, and as you can see, there was a lot of action later on, though I never actually saw what I would have been up against because it went bet fold on the river. I would lose one very small hand with King 10 of hearts, and the next orbit, I'd get it again, calling 25 more in the big blind after the cutoff opened. So a 75 in, the flop is 10-10 deuce 2 clubs, giving me trips. I go for the check raise here, and sure enough, my opponent does bet. He makes it 40. I check raise to 125 here. He thinks about it for about 10 seconds and makes the call, which I think he's certainly doing with all of his overpairs. So with 325 in, the turn is a 7. I bet out for 200 here. Now, this is a tough opponent. Most of this game, tough opponents. He thinks about this for about the same amount of time as he did on the flop, and this time, he makes a good fold. And I just thought it was funny after that we would then get a brief stretch of the game where we would get not 1, not 2, not 3. I feel like LeBron James in Miami. But 4 guys all being gone at the same time. No third man walking rule in effect anymore. Shout out to a player named RL, one who I'm not sure is still with us or not. Anyway, we would then get an under the gun limp and a +1 limp. I'm in middle position with King Queen, and I just can't let this stand. Because in this case, limping is just not pimping. I make it 60, looking to just take this pot down right now, but it doesn't happen that way. Folds back around to these 2 limpers, and they both make the call. So, with 195 in, we get a 9-6 deuce rainbow flop, and no one bets. Turn is the Queen of Hearts, giving me top pair. Checks to me. I bet it for 80. Under the gun folds immediately, but the player on my immediate right in the +1 position makes the call. So with 355 in the pot, the river is a 3rd heart. He checks. I kind of know this opponent's game, that he might be more than happy to try to check raise here. I just check this thing back, and he reveals Ace-4 hearts for the nuts. I guess he was never told the ancient Chinese proverb, you can only check raise when your opponent bets. I would then flop 2 pair with King 5 offsuit. Do I have to tell you what position I was in? The good news was that I would flop 2 pair. The bad news was that it was against the set of 5s of Bomb Pot Blue. Fortunately, since I know the player extremely well, I would simply fold this to his turn raise and get shown that I was basically drawing dead and basically lose the absolute minimum. We get a live 20. player on my right raises to 60, and I look down at pocket queens. I raise it to 140 in the low jack. And to my surprise, the straddle in the hijack, he's not folding. He makes this call. And then, middle position, who already made it 60, folds. So I'm surprised in 2 instances here. Turns out the guy on my right had 6 high, which you can then understand why he would fold. But anyway, we're now heads up, low jack versus cutoff in a $355 pot, and the board rolls out 7-8 deuce rainbow, and I'm first to act. I bet 150, playing about 1,000 effective here, and the cutoff shoves all in. Now remember, he defended the straddle here, so the idea of him having me beat already is just completely out the window. So it's just a matter of, did he actually flop 2 pair or better here? And after about 15 seconds worth of thought, I would come to the conclusion that if he did indeed do that, well, he's going to get my money, because I'm not buying this. So I do call off my entire stack here with the pair of queens, and the pot is just about 2,000. He ends up showing 9-10 of spades for an open-ended straight draw. So I am going to need your help here. I have to fade this draw. You've got to hit that like button right now. Don't do anything else unless you're driving or holding a baby, as Bowling for Soup once said. Hit that like button right this minute, because we need the help. We agree to 2 boards. The first one comes out clean, and the second does as well. So once again, as the session is nearing its conclusion, we secure the double up. The game quality wasn't getting any better, and after winning a few more small pots over the next half an hour, I would decide to wrap up the session in time to get to a workout before the gym closed. All right, wrapping up the session on this 33-degree day here in Reno. Booking a win of $1,161. Kind of amazing that I managed to win both those boards against that open-ended straight draw there. I really thought I was going to find a way to lose one of them, but I'll take some run good where I can get it. Not a great game. So to be able to pull that number out of it is something I'm very happy about. I'm hoping that tomorrow, since it'll be a Friday, I'm going to jump in a 3-5 and it'll be a better lineup and try to keep this run going. All right, taping this on Friday, obviously before the NFL playoff action. I know you're watching it after that, so I don't know how Niners-Eagles ultimately played out. I tell you, I'm not optimistic going into it with all the injuries they have had to deal with this year. And I know after Niners-Seahawks, Kyle Shanahan is not going to win Coach of the Year after that game, but boy, should he be mentioned. I mean, the coaching job that he was able to do to get that team with all those injuries to 12 wins has to be recognized. I mean, he just continues to prove time and time again how he is one of the absolute best coaches out there. And I do think there was something that you could call coach run bad in that game against the Seahawks. Maybe they were never beating them if they played that game 10 times, considering how dominant that defense was. But at the same time, there was just instance after instance where he as a coach got put in like the worst spots, meaning guys kept getting tackled a yard shy of the first down marker at like the 45-yard line and things like that. And it's just like, do you go for this? Where you're going to get a whole bunch of results-oriented people saying it was the wrong play if it didn't work out, things like that. So it was just an excruciating game to watch. Always hit the like and subscribe buttons if you are new to this channel. And follow along on Instagram at bendeach, and we'll try to get a short in later this week if I can manage to grab some video during my next session. We'll see about that. And either way, we'll see you back here next time.